Alright, what's going on, guys? Keys to Optimization Part 3. We're basically going to be talking about how you can learn this kind of stuff for yourself and go out there and learn different patterns. So let's just jump right into it. So first thing we're going to cover is looking for patterns, how you create a process or a system that's duplicatable. This is a big part of my strategy. It's basically how I grew my strategy. So instead of learning my strategy, I'm going to be talking about how I grew my strategy so that you can too. How I have used this knowledge to grow stores and help others grow their stores. And it's not really as simple as just implementing it and bada bing, bada boom. But, and also how you can learn these patterns. Also going to be talking a little bit about pixel training and how it affects your account. So the beauty of duplication. So to understand this, you need to first understand that the goal isn't to figure out what works for you. The goal is to figure out what works across numerous accounts. I've seen numerous different occasions where something will work really well in one account, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go and implement it in all of my other accounts. Just like, oh, I have something that works, I'm going to do it for everybody, because I haven't learned, okay, it works in this account, but how is it going to work in 2 weeks? How is it going to work in a month? What's the impact that it has on all the other campaigns? So when I'm implementing a new strategy or something that I tested recently, I'm very careful with the way that I implement it, mainly because I need to understand that before pushing it onto my other stores. So yeah, you have to figure out what's going to work in numerous accounts, and the main reason you need to do this is because just because it works in one account doesn't mean it's going to work in the other account. Now, everything that I talk about is based on patterns. It's based on this. So the 0 to 6 figure strategy video that I had is a strategy that works on like literally 90% of accounts. So I'm always looking for the highest probability thing that will make a store successful, not just like what works for this guy and what doesn't work for this guy. Like it's very pattern oriented. So your goal should be to figure out what works for me, you, and many others. That way you know what the highest probability strategy of making someone successful is, or making yourself successful. Patterns is a big thing. So basically my system was I would test something new in one account, and if it worked well, I would try it in another account. And if that also did well, I would do it in another account, and as I'm doing this, I would learn more about, what happens after a week, what happens after 2 weeks. So I'm learning all this stuff, and I just keep going until I find an account that the strategy doesn't work in. So let's say I did it once, it worked. I did it twice, it worked. I did it 3 times, it worked. The 4th time, it didn't work for some reason. Now I have to try and figure out why it didn't work in that account. I have to look at the data and try to understand what's different about that one account. And once I understand that, then I can build the strategy that will work in almost every single account. Once I can figure out all the factors that come into play. So this is like a big part of why my strategy needs to be followed to the T. It's built around, very specific circumstances that just put things in place, and essentially, if you follow it perfectly since day one, it'll work. Everything that I do, like every little button that I click, is tested and proven in multiple accounts, just like this. So now that you understand that, I'll explain to you how I was able to implement this. So I basically, when I was starting out, I basically did this all day for around 3 to 4 months, and I've been doing it all day since then still, but the first 3 to 4 months were the most important, because that's when I was building my foundation. That's when I was building the rules that I'll follow, and the patterns that I'll follow. And I got pretty good at Facebook ads, just by doing that, by testing one thing, and if it doesn't work, I'll just scrap it, and if it does work, I'll push it to another account. And I got to understand a lot of key factors that ends up making a product work. And I also learned a lot of different mistakes that you can make, just through the ads manager, and how it doesn't set you up for success in the long term or medium term. This is essentially how I figured it out. So all I did was just focus all my time on learning key algorithm patterns that resulted in a profitable ROI. and that allowed me to grow that allows me to grow stores very quickly. Like when I see a successful store, or if I see a store or a winning product, I can pretty much just put it up and take it up to success and being profitable fairly quickly. So these same key algorithm patterns that I learn are exactly what I teach you in pretty much all of my videos. I have a lot of videos now, and they're all basically talking about what I've learned. I'm sure you know. So, how can you learn these patterns for yourself, and how can you create your own strategies, or figure out, basically duplicate what I did, having a duplicatable system where I can just flip six-figure stores. Um, Basically, if you don't have access to a bunch of different stores, the best way to do it is to have like an inner circle type deal, where you basically grow a network of friends, and you commit to the mastery of Facebook ads together. And you all have to be on the same page. Like everybody has to be in the understanding that you're gonna share with each other what's working. That's the whole point of the inner circle. Um, so you find something that works, you share it with them, and then one of them will implement it. And if it works for them, another person will implement it. And if it works for them, another person will implement it. And then the next person that implements it, and if it doesn't work, you figure out why it doesn't work. This is exactly what I was just talking about. And this is the point of having an inner circle, so that you have people to do this with. So like you have like 5 or 6 people, and you guys talk like once every other day. Like this should be a constant thing. And eventually you're just going to see so many different patterns in so many different situations that you'll just start knowing what works, and it'll just become easier and easier for you to find a winning product, scale a store, scale it profitably, maintain a ROAS, all those things. So this is the power of being a part of an inner circle, a real inner circle, where you and just some friends are literally working together to master something. And a lot of people don't do this, and I don't know why. It's not anything difficult to put together. All you got to do is just find some people doing Facebook ads and get to know them a little bit and invite them, and you have this little group going on, and you guys can all master Facebook ads together. And this pretty much goes for anything. Like, if whatever business you're in, you can do this. So yeah, we'll talk about pixel training for a little bit, because this is like a key algorithm that I discovered kind of the hard way. Like it was kind of biting me in the butt just over and over again, and I never understood what was going on. But I'm starting to realize that pixel training is a thing. So whether you're trying to train it in a way that benefits you, or if it's getting trained in a way that you don't want it to be trained, I believe that this is happening. So yeah, this is like part of the reason why I start multiple different campaigns for one product and try to reach new people all the time, because I want my pixel to be able to adapt to different locations and different audience types. I've seen so many situations where somebody's targeting one country for the entirety of their ad account, and you introduce new countries and it just doesn't work, and it's a pain. And this is like pixel training. The pixel is trained to target people in the US for so long that it just has trouble optimizing in other countries, which it's basically like starting from square one. It doesn't matter how much pixel data you have stored, any of that stuff. So I notice when a pixel is optimizing for something for a long time, it's not able to adapt as well. So a good example of this is if you've been using $5 budgets for a few months and you try introducing higher budgets, it might not know what to do and optimize a lot differently than the $5 per days. It could be better or it could be worse. Same goes for location placements, interests. If you're only targeting one interest, I talked about this a little bit in part 2. If you're only targeting Facebook feeds, it could be hard to get Instagram feeds to work. So this is just something to be aware of as you're growing your store, because you don't want your pixel to be trained in a way that you didn't mean it to be. This is why I keep almost everything broad. I need the pixel to be able to adapt, so that when I introduce new things in the future to keep the momentum up, it's gonna know what to do. And that's exactly what momentum is. Being able to keep the sales coming, not only keep them coming, but keep them coming in abundance. So that one day you have 5, the next day you have 6, and you know, the next week you're getting 10 a day, and the next week you're getting 20 a day. And you know, if you stay in a certain spot for too long, whether good or bad, it'll be difficult to go above where you've been at. You know, it's almost like the pixel getting trained to bring you a certain amount of sales. I've seen this before too, where people are just not introducing campaigns. They're just kind of hovering in this one campaign, and you know, they're adding one a day and they're following the strategy, but they're not keeping up the momentum. And you know, they've just been making like 5 to 10 or 20 sales a day, whatever the situation is. And you know, when you come in and try to increase that, it's very difficult, because you know, it doesn't matter how much you're spending, any of that. The pixel is just used to optimizing for 10 to 20 sales a day, which again is just a pattern that I've noticed. It's not like factual or anything, but you understand that I've managed a lot of different accounts, and I see this over and over again, where the pixel will just kind of be trained. And it sucks when it's getting trained and you don't know about it, and then you try to do something new and it doesn't work, or it messes something up.